Okay, so in this next part, we're going to go ahead and be doing some of the decorative elements to this. I'm not really going to go by the picture. I just sort of like to go on my own. So I'm going to start to do some sort of a floral element or motif to this. So let's go ahead and switch to some of the outer views. I'm going to hit F3 and I'm going to go ahead and go to geometry. And I'm going to go ahead and make myself a spline in the shape of a circle just to kind of give me the boundaries of what I'm going to be creating so it fits well. So I'm good with that. That's good. And then I'm going to hit isolate selection. And then now I have this to work with as a sort of a framework and such to do the shape that I want to do. So I'm going to do a flower inset for all of the sides of this. So I'm going to start out for the center of this. I'm going to make a cylinder like that. Good. Very nice. I'm going to zoom into that. And then one of these sides I'm not going to be really using, so I'm going to take this, convert it to an editable poly. I'm going to click 4 and select these faces here in the back. And it's Alt to unselect if you're curious. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that because I'm not really going to need that. And then these right here, I'm going to use this ring right here, go to 2 for edge. Loop, select it all, and then go up here, go to scale, and that's going to be my boundary. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me see, what kind of flower motif do I want to have? Let me think. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a short, small extrusion. So I'm going to go ahead, so if I go ahead and select the top like this, or let me see what's easier better way to do this so I don't have to do too much. Oh, I know. I'm going to go ahead and change my selection type right here to circle. And then when I do select like this, I will go and select the center, and I select just those faces, as you can see. Z to recenter your object. And then I'm going to extrude this slightly inward so I could have like an indent and get nice shadows in there. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to chamfer the faces so kind of this seems like a hollow cylinder, and inside here is where I'm going to place a flower as a part of the decoration and then add it to the rest of it. So I'm going to press 2, go to edge mode, select those two, and as you can see, these two have been selected. And I'm going to go take this and chamfer. You know what? I'm going to do it on a number because it's probably going to be not too accurate. So lower that down, 0.002. It's pretty good. Nice. Hit OK. And then I need to make the cut so whenever I do the turbo smooth on this, that it keeps the shape that I want to. So I'm going to select that inter ring right here. I'm going to hit ring, Control Shift E to make the cut. And then once I've done that, if I do chamfer, I can bring this, you see, it's way too much, way too eager. And let's see, turn that down to 0.06, 0.05. This is the way that 3D Studio Max is way more clunkier than the other programs that you can do it by value. But then again, sometimes accuracy is nice. So that's good for the inner cut. I probably don't have to do much there. And then I'm going to go ahead and select here. Ring, Control Shift E, and then I'm going to chamfer it as well so these get nice and close to the edges. Cool, that's good. And I also want to keep these very sharp as well, these little intersections here, so I can do that by selecting these two, and then I hit loop, chamfer numeric value. You see, as you can see, that's much too high, so I'm going to go ahead and lower this to 0.0069, 8. Nah, you see, way too much. That's way too much. So I'm going to go with 0.003. And you know, 0.1. It's probably going to be that. Hold up. 0, 1. And now, you know what? I need to make sure I do this right. 0.003. Piss up here. That's good enough right there. Fuck it. Hit OK on that. And that's just for shits and giggles. Then you can just go ahead and try turbo smooth and see what sort of results you get and such. See, that's okay. It has that nice hard edges like I like it and such. And turn off turbo smooth. fuck it, I can just delete it. And then I want to have the same material as my other item, so I'm going to hit M for materials, and then apply that same gray one, so we're looking at the same thing. So then after I've done that, I want to go ahead and do the flower section that's going to be inset into this. So I'm going to go from the front view like this. Good. Expand my window, and then I'm going to, this is going to be the center of the flower, so I'm going to take a sphere, and then with turning S to turn on snap, create a sphere from the center. That's good. And for this sphere, for the most part, when you look at it, it's already pretty nicely mesh smoothed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it to where I'm going to have it in the center. And what I want to do is I want to kind of hollow out the center of this so you don't see where the petals come from. So I'm going to do that with, turn this into an editable poly. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find my freeform deformations, which is right here. I'm going to go with 4. I think 4 is a good amount. And I'm going to take these control points right here, and it could be that it's maybe 5. Sorry, turn my selection back to rectangle. And let's see what happens when I shrink this. See, not quite what I wanted to do. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that. And then I'm going to select the one that lets me pick myself. So it's freeform box like this. And I'm going to go ahead and make it 5 by 5. 5, 5, 5, cool. And in this occasion, I just want the center one because I'm going to scale this like this, because that's this little area is where the petals are going to come from, and then the rest of it I can just sort of squish it like that. Cool. And collapse it as an editable poly. As you can see, I don't take a lot of thought when it comes to this. Probably if you create something much more complex, of course, you need to plan it out a little better. So since I'm not going to be using this back area right here, I'm going to delete these because they're unnecessary. Delete. Cool. And then I'm going to take this item and move it where it kind of aligns with like that. So that's going to be the center of the flower. So now I'll go to materials. So just for consistency, give it a gray one. That's good. And then now I'm going to go ahead and create the petals on the flower. So I'm going to be using this as a good shape right here to create my petals, and hopefully I can make it fast. So I'm going to first control save, and then I'm going to take and create a box. From the center of the petal right up towards the top. And the last click is to be able to add the depth to it. So as you can see, it's much too thick. So I'm going to take this. And this is a complete, by the way, crash course on 3D Studio Max high poly modeling. I can do more complicated ones, but this gives you a basic idea of what I'm doing. So I take my box, I reduce it down to a nice tri count that I want, and I make it to an editable poly. And then I go to vertex mode, and I start adjusting these vertices to give me my petal. I want a rough shape, and then after I get my rough shape, then that's when I'm going to go ahead and add a turbo smooth. So I'm not going for super accuracy. So I'm going to go and take this petal and lower it to right there. Thickness on the top view, good. And in the front view, I'm going to go ahead and make some cuts. So I'm going to press 2, go to edge mode, drag across the center, Control Shift E. And then I'm just going to scale this purely on the X axis, so it gives me sort of that sort of tapered effect look. And then I will go again, select again, Control Shift E, taper just on the X axis, and then Control Shift E, taper just on that axis. So as you can see, it's a very, very, very basic shape for a petal, and I'm not trying to get crazy with details. So what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to go see and try what happens when I add a turbo smooth. And as you can see, it's already kind of given me a pretty workable shape, and that's not too bad. I'm not going too crazy, but I feel like my center element maybe is a bit too big. So let's go ahead and reduce the size of that a tiny bit. Cool. And then that's good. And then this one right here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make copies of it to see how many of these petals I can fit into this. So that's going to require me moving the pivot point. So the first thing I want to do first is make sure that this model is lined up to the right place on the with the other one. So I click the bottom of it and snap it to that. And then if I want a little bit, I can move it up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and move the pivot of the pedal down to the center here. So when I rotate and make copies, it rotates along the right axis. So I go to right here on the menu, hierarchies, effect pivot only. And then when that's selected, you turn on snap 2.5 so it doesn't go fly somewhere else. And then I will snap it to right, oh shit, sorry. Right where, see, that's why it's, snap is turned on, and sometimes it's a pain in the ass, so sometimes you have to turn it off. And more or less lined up. We're not looking for perfection and such, so let's go ahead and do that. And then after I have created that, I select on my mesh, turn off effect pivot only. And why is the pivot not working as it should? Why does it do that? Let's see. See, occasions like that, when you don't know what happens, I just go ahead and reset the X form, collapse that because it's a pretty good shape that I can use with, and let's try to move the pivot again. See, I don't get what's going on here. It's fucking 3D Studio Max. It's just a pain in the ass. But you know what? Fuck it, we'll do it manually. So let's go ahead and if you hold shift with percentage turned on, I'll do complete 180. And then for the sake of alignment, you turn on your snapping and then you snap it like that. Cool. It's going to be right there. You know what? For the sake of consistency, I'm going to go ahead and snap these to this ring right there on the mesh. It's good. So now I have two of them selected. Now my pivot is functioning correctly. And then I will go ahead and go like this. And no, it's not. Fuck you. Make a copy because I'm pretty good with these, where they look. Then lock that selection, to tie it to the center like this. And now I'm going to go ahead and attach all of these so I can just, it makes it easier for me to copy. So all I need is one of these, and then I hit attach, attach. And I think these are instances on accident, so I need to click on these, editable poly. And then I will go ahead and attach these to this. So now that I have that, hopefully it's going to behave. Finally, you piece of shit, you're behaving like you should. No, you're not. Oh, God. Let's see if turning this off helps. Yep. Good. Copy, I'm happy with that. And we'll try to squeeze one more flower in there. Actually, we can do it one more time, I think. And like I said, this is high poly stuff, so you don't have to go crazy with super accuracy unless you're that kind of person. Cool. And then when we look at it from the outside, now we have a nice floral motif. Looks good. And I'm just going to take this one right here and just the center part and adjust it slightly so it kind of hovers a little bit more over this and gives it more of a shadow effect. So as you can see, simplicity, no need to fuss or muss too much. So this one, I'll go ahead and add the turbo smooth to it because I'm happy with how it's going to turbo smooth. And I don't really need to adjust it, so I'll collapse it. Yes, cool. And then I'm going to attach the rest of this because I don't need to work with it anymore. Could have been that I accidentally you see, you saw that overlap. That means I created one mesh too much, so I need to make sure that that's not there. So I move it. Nope, that's it. Okay. All right, cool. Now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and unhide the rest of my mesh. And I'm going to go ahead and move this out to the side, like this. And I am pretty goddamn happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make copies of this. And hopefully the pivot will work this time, but we'll see. So I'm going to go to my pivot point up here. Effect pivot only. Drag that to the center. Turn on snap so it snaps. God damn it, sorry. Why is this being such a pain in the ass? Ah, fuck it. We're not looking for accuracy, so I can just eye it, and then I can just go after I do that, and I'm going to make copies of it. So I'm going to go ahead and mirror it. See, nope, fuck you. You see, 3D Studio Max sometimes doesn't want to function the way it should. So I'm just going to go hold shift, make a copy like this. Boom, good. Make sure that's aligned okay. Yeah. And then take this one and attach it to the other one. Good. And then make a copy of that. Bring it to the bottom. Cool. And now I will attach these. Oh, let's see if the pivot's going to work this time. Maybe this time. Who knows? So I'm going to go ahead and, you know what? Let's go ahead and reset the X form. Maybe that'll help it work better. Collapse all. Yes. And then I will take my pivot up here, hierarchy, affect pivot only. Lock my screen by pressing spacebar. And why is it not letting me move it in? Jesus Christ, why is it not letting me move it in that axis? Oh my fucking God. You know what? Right when I have to show this shit, that's when it starts giving me problems. So here we go. That's close enough. Cool. And here. Cool. And then now that I have that, hopefully it's going to go ahead and let me rotate it now and actually create a copy so it does the same all around. Let's see. And of course it's not, because it's a motherfucker. So fuck it. I'm just going to turn snapping to this and just place these manually. So this is going to be 90%. Cool. Not bad too. And then if I just take this and then attach it to this one, we'll just copy it again one more time so we don't have to go through all this shit all over. That's good. And then I'm going to take that. You see, now the pivot functions. Yeah, now you decide to get into the game, right? Right. And not quite. So let's go ahead and move it in the right viewport. Maybe that'll help. See? So now I need to line it to the right. And where is it not lining up? No, that should be inwards and outwards. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then if you want to see how it looks, again, you go to the lights, and then you add a skylight. And you can have an idea here of, God damn it, of how this is going to shade. So like that, it gives you an idea what you can do to kind of add a little more decorative elements. Let's add another one again. And now we're going to do some of that swirly stuff it has towards the top. So we're going to go ahead and to do that, we're going to create splines. So if you go to create, right here, you go to spline, line. And I'm just going to just do a little squiggly shape, nothing really fancy. So start from here, curve, curve, and curve. Boom. So I like that. And I'm going to go then to modify with my line and expand this one right here, enable rendering. And enable in viewport, and as you can see now I actually have some geometry to work with. So it looks like it's a bit too much for my taste. When I zoom in, and let me go ahead and delete that light so this isn't doing this all the time. Delete. So now I have a nice little shape that I can work with. Bring that outwards. See? And I think I want it to be a little bit thicker, the shape. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and turn this up. Thickness on this, right on this counter on the side. That's nice. And I am going to push it inwards. So it's sort of like it's been carved into it, but we're just sort of faking that for now and such. So now that I'm not going to go spend too much time tweaking this and such, so I'm just going to go and convert this to an editable poly because we're pressed for time and such. And then if I go to M for material, click on gray for it. And then I am going to go ahead and mirror a copy of it with no particular accuracy for it. So copy. When I go to mirror up here, hit OK. And then take this, expand it outwards like this. So you sort of have this sort of squiggly motif kind of thing and such, which looks okay for the time being. And then I am going to attach this. Boom. And now have some sort of a motif. So what else could I do with this to make it look more interesting? Maybe add some sort of a shield to it. So I'm going to go ahead and create a cylinder. Give it some sort of an extrusion. And I'm going to take it and put it outwards on this. And we're going to start making some cuts to this just so the shape is a little bit more interesting. So this one, we're going to make it almost look like a sort of a shield and such. So once I've created it, I'm going to go ahead and take it and make it into an editable poly. So we can work with it. And I'm going to start to do an extrusion on it to kind of give it that rounded shape like I want. So let's go ahead and start to define. First and foremost, let's delete the back face so we don't have to deal with the tries we're not going to use and such. So where are you at? Oh, there you are. And then if I just hit Alt to unselect those ones that you can't see in the back, I can delete those. And then I go to 2, select those, ring. And I'm going to do a chamfer. And that's okay for that cut. Ring again, Control Shift E. Bring my cut upwards like that. Cool. And then these two loop. And then I'll do chamfer again. As you can see, it's much too much. So let's try 0.005. 0.003 maybe. Cool, like that. So now that I have that nice shape cut into it that I want for a shield, I'm going to use these right here to make an extrusion. So I'm going to go loop, lock my selection by pressing spacebar, scale it outwards. And then what I'm going to do is in the right view, front view, or whatever that view that is, change my selection to rectangle so that it makes it neat. And then I'm going to select these. Oh, you see? So what happens, we have selected, move, selected, picked. So I'm going to do just select, which is this one with circular, unclick, and then select that. Nope, we need to do it in polygon, sorry. And we do it in polygon, boom. And then these right here, I'm going to take these and extrude these. And what I'm going to do is I want it to be rounded off. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm just going to extrude it a good distance. And then I'm going to lower it down right here and collapse it. Because I want a rounded shape that I want to do with that. And then what I'm going to do to kind of make it a little bit more rounded, I'm going to go on the side right here, go to edges. See, it doesn't work when it's round like this. So I go to my selection up here, rectangle, select these here, Control Shift E, make the cut, lock your selection with space, and then uniform scale, and then scale it up like this. And as you can see, I'm slowly doing cuts, Control Shift E, to sort of make it that sort of rounded off look. And probably one more, so let's select these, some of these right here, ring, Control Shift E, expand that. And what else? And I think for the most part, I want this extrusion in the front not to be so flat. So I'm going to select all of these vertices up here. I know it's probably hard to see through my mesh, but hopefully you see what I'm doing. And I'm going to take these and take scale and then just scale it on the y-axis. And then I'm going to move it down here. Happy with that. So let's go ahead and try a turbo smooth to see if it actually works reasonably well. Turbo smooth. And let's see what the result is. So as you can see, it kind of gets a little bit lost here, that area. So I want to kind of cut it so you kind of can see where the rays comes from. That. So you go to this point right here where the ray starts to come, select that edge, you loop it. And then if you chamfer it again, it gives you that sort of raised edge that you want. So when then you go to turbo smooth, now you have more of that defined edge that you want in that. So I'm happy with that. And so now I'm going to go ahead and take this and I'm going to go ahead and unify it to the top item right here. So I'm going to take that, collapse all, yes, and then press M for material, apply the material, and then I'm just going to attach this real fast. And then now that I'm happy with this, and again, I say I'm going to move the pivot, but it hasn't been cooperating all day long. So I'm going to try to move my pivot again to the center. Good enough. And then I'm going to go see, why is it not working? Jesus Christ. Okay, what's a better way to do this? Here you go. I'll do a better way to do this because this is fucking with me and I'm not happy about this. So I'm going to go to create menu and they have something, I believe it's, let's see, that is forces. That's not it. Systems, helpers. I think it's under helper. If you do a dummy is basically nothing. They have those in Blender. So you could use it here whenever you have a badly cooperating pivot. So I'm going to put it right to the center of the mesh. And then just to show you what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to take that element here that I like right there. I'm going to lock it. And then this is where I'm going to use that link part. So if you see here, select and link right up there. And then I take from there and then drag it here. Nope. Drag it and then link it to the dummy. And now that that's done, I believe I can do this. See if it works. God damn it. Well, it should be able to work, but unfortunately Max is not cooperating today. So you know what? I have an idea. Duplicate. How do you clone? And then I hit copy. And then I unlink the original one. This is, I know this is very convoluted. So I unlinked one of them, and then when I take that dummy here, for example, and rotate it, now it's in the right place. Good. And then I do the same here. This one, I know this is a kind of a workaround. I make a clone of that, copy, and then I go up here and unlink that one. So when I do that, then I can go ahead and rotate like that and leave the unlinked one there. Once again, go to the top one, clone, copy, unlink, and then take your dummy one last time and then rotate. Oh, shit. And then once I've done that, then I can take these right here and then just attach them to each other. Attach, Control R to rotate, attach, and attach. And that's it. So now as you can see, we have a little bit more detail, and I'm probably just going to keep working on towards 11:30, do a tiny bit more decoration to it, and then we can go ahead and take our lunch break and such. So what do I want to do to this next to make it a little bit more interesting? What could I do? You know what, let's try to make another kind of flower and such. This time make it a little bit more complicated. So we can decorate the hell out of this with it. And then, so I'm gonna go, let's see, another kind of flower. So I'm going to go take and create a sphere, because that's what I'm going to get created right here. So it's going to be my flower element. Good. Good. And then I'm going to go ahead and line it up on one screen so I have it to work with. Take it like that. Good. Give it my same material, and I'm not really concerned too much about try counts at this point, so I'll do that. Modify, convert to an editable poly. And then I'm going to delete half of the ones that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to go hit 4 to go to poly mode. Select all the ones here you're not going to see. Delete. Cool. And now I'm just going to scale this a tiny bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and isolate my selection so I can have something, so I can just purely focus on that and not get lost. So if you want to see how to change this mesh color right here so you can see it more, that color right here is the color of the mesh. Turn that to red so I can see it. So now when I deselect, it's good. So now again, I'm going to make some petals, this time a little bit more complicated. I'm going to go create a box along the center, extrude it a tiny bit. Yes, good. I'm going to take that box, bring it right here so it functions as the petal. And then I'm going to make that into an editable poly and start making cuts so I could have a very, very basic petal to work with. So again, you press 2 for edge, drag and select, Control-Shift-E, drag and select, Control-Shift-E. And then these right here, I'm going to take these and expand them on one axis so it's just flat in that way. Cool. One more cut, Control-Shift-E, cut, and then take the top one and reduce that. 2, Control-Shift-E, make a cut there, expand that. I'm happy with that. And I'm, like I said, I'm not going for crazy accuracy and such. So I'm going to go and then apply a turbo smooth to that because I'm happy with the shape of that. And you know what? This time, let's go ahead and do it twice over because it's okay. It's an okay shape. And after I do that, I'm going to collapse it and I'm going to add a freeform deformation just to change the mesh so it has that look where the petals are curving inwards. So to get that look, I'm going to add a freeform 333. And then I'm going to take all the control points on the side, excuse me, on the side like this. And I'm going to take these petals and curve it inward so it has more of a curved inward look. So as you can see, sometimes you need to be a little more over the top so they can have some sort of nice look to them and such. So let's, sorry. Come on, how do you close this shit? For fuck's sake. Ah, there we go. Cool. Okay, so I give it that inwards curvature. That's nice. I want to give it a little bit more where it curves on the other axis. So I will switch to my left window. And in this occasion, I'm just going to purely just select these right here. I'm going to move them like this. Rotate them so they have a little bit more of the proper curvature to go with it and such. So as you can see now, nope, wrong direction, sorry. Take these and move them forward. Rotate these forward like this. Take these, move them a little bit back now. And that's an okay. It's not perfect, but fine. It works for now. Collapse 2. And then watch the pivots again fuck with me. So let's try it one more time. Effect pivot only. Take that, move it here. Fly effect. Well, I can't tell you why this is happening. It's a pain in the ass. So let's just keep it to the right there and just make copies and then make it into one. See, effect pivot only, center to object, so it doesn't give me this. One copy could, and you always copy by holding shift as you rotate or move and such. Move it to here, and then attach, and then make a copy again. Cool. then one more to get this corner, cool. And one more to take this corner, cool. Good enough. And, oh, shit. You know what? This is easier. Attach that. And rotate here. And it is not exactly perfect, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move some of the petals up so at least it looks like they're not overlapping like this. Take those, move them on this axis, or move them on that axis right there. So you can see now I have a very basic crude flower. And attach these petals together, good. And since it's in the center, I'm going to scale it so it fits more with the, god damn this thing, effect pivot only, center to object, good. And then I'm going to take them and scale them so it kind of fits more with the shape of the center part. So then after that's that, M to see your materials, apply that, and then take this, and we're going to attach them together. So that one is going to be attach, boom. And then if we unisolate everything, we have that one flower there. It's not bad, pretty happy about it. And let's try the same trick as we did last time because these pivots aren't working with me today. So I'm going to take, let's see, I'm going to expand my view outwards, and we're almost finished with this part right here. And I'm going to be using this dummy right here as well, but I need to make sure none of the pieces that I used to copy the dummy is still linked to it. So I'm going to go up here and unlink it. Cool. And then I'm going to take my flower right here, and I'm going to go up here to link and drag it to the dummy. And then do as I did again. Clone this, copy, yes. Unlink it. And then I take this. And normally I wouldn't be doing this if the dummies weren't working for me. So made a copy there, of course. Go to the flower here. Then clone, right click to clone, hit OK. And then unlink that one. And take that one and rotate it again. Boom. Go to that one that you just made, clone, good, unlink it, and then take your dummy one last time and rotate that outwardsly, good. And then the final step is just going to go to attach these, and then that's going to, I can keep going with this. So this is where we're going to end this video. Hopefully, I feel like I'm repeating myself, so I'm going to go there, attach, and then I'll go attach, and attach, and then I'm going to hit Control Save. I'm going to go ahead and isolate this, boom. And then finally, so you can see the final result, I'm going to go ahead and hit a skylight. And when I add the skylight, then you see my mesh, how it's going to start to render. So it's very, very basic, but this is sort of the process that you can do when building high poly meshes like this. It's a result came out okay, but yeah, that's to give you an example. So I'm going to go ahead and call this and end with this video, and then hopefully it'll kind of give you an idea of how is it you build high poly stuff and how is it some of the shit on 3D Studio Max functions regularly. So I'm going to hit S, and then I'm going to